In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can effectively scale your brand, especially if you've hit a plateau when you're trying to scale your meta ads. You may have tried countless of UGC angles and nothing really seems to catch fire, like you're stuck, and you've tried multiple versions of the same best performing ad. You've tried different concepts in your UGC. Nothing really seems to be able to scale for you. You can't afford the rising CPA levels on meta. Like every time your CPA goes above a certain point, it becomes unprofitable for you, and there's nothing like you can really do with your ad strategy anymore that seems to make it so that you can scale your business profitably. Or you simply don't know how your brand will scale into that next level. Then this video is going to be very, very foundational for you. I think it's going to be the solution that you're looking for, because this is how we are scaling brands as an agency now. I want to show you this first before we dive into the methods that I'm going to show you. Because, for example, this is a client that we've been working with for, I think, just about 2 months now. And you can see here, they were kind of like just floating here in this like around 18,000 Danish crowns per month or per day, so around like 2,000 euros per day. But then right around this point, this is when we implemented this strategy. There was a lot of build up to the strategy, but now you can just see how this client is starting to scale. Then there's also this client down here who we scaled a lot last year. Yeah, going into to this year here, we have scaled them a lot, and this is you can see this was for 2024 to 2025. They were doing right around 1 million in these months, and then we introduced this strategy, and you can just see how their sales have just exploded, and now they're doing like 250,000 euros per month consecutively or consistently. And this client here, which is a client that are now doing 125,000 euros per month, from barely making like 10,000, 20,000 euros per month to now doing 125,000 euros per month. And here you can also just see how this client has scaled so much. And these clients here, they all reported on like these 4 things: that they have hit a plateau with their meta ads, they've tried countless UGC angles before, they cannot afford the rising CPA levels, or they don't know how they're going to scale into that next level. I think that this is something that a lot of brands, they are struggling with. And the first thing that I want to point out here that are going to be very, very important to understand in order to execute this strategy effectively is the importance of understanding awareness levels and sophistication levels. So if you just dive into awareness levels, if you've been following this channel, then you will know that I speak a lot about this, because it is how you're going to tailor your communication effectively to those people that you're trying to sell to, but you're also trying to convert into buyers. There's effectively 5 different awareness stages. There's the non-aware, the problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. When you're trying to marketize your product or you're trying to scale your brand, then you cannot just speak to one awareness stage or 2 awareness stages. In order to scale your brand, you really have to be really good at communicating to those people who are non-aware and those people who are problem aware, because this is where your top funnel really resides. But most brands, they don't get this right, and they end up speaking to people who are like solution aware or starting to become solution aware, and product aware and most aware. And the pool of people there are in these awareness stages are not nearly as great as those people who are non-aware or problem aware. This is where your true top funnel resides. I just want you to keep this in mind as we go along in this video, okay? Then there's sophistication levels, and there's also 5 different levels of sophistication in any given market. And when you think about it, most markets are starting to become very educated or very, very sophisticated. There's 5 levels here, and level 1 is market birth. There's a new market that arises, and most of you who are going to be watching this video, you're not going to be in either sophistication level 1, 2, and maybe not even 3. Most of you are going to start off in between 3 and 4, and perhaps even level 5. Level 2 is where you start to make bigger claims in your advertising. You say that, you know, yours can do X, Y, and Z better, and better than the competition. And level 3, this is where you start to introduce new mechanisms to your product or to your service and whatnot, something that makes it better than that of the competition. And level 4, this is where you want to introduce even better mechanisms than that of the competition. And level 5, this is where people are the most skeptical about whatever it is that you have to say. If you think about it, then when you're trying to advertise in Scandinavia or Netherlands or Germany and whatnot, like, people are very, very sophisticated in general. They're very educated, and generally speaking, people are more skeptical now than they were 1, 2, 3 years ago. People's skepticism levels, they are rising really, really fast, and it is your job as a brand to lower the skepticism by educating people and providing social proof. But I'll get to that just later in this video. Just stick with me here, because this just sets the foundation for how you're going to communicate to your audience and how you're going to effectively create a strategy that are going to help you scale your brand. So this right here is the pyramid that I want you to keep in mind when you're trying to scale your brand, because right here, 3% of people, they are ready to buy right now. 17% of people, they are trying to gather more information because, yeah, they know they have a problem. 20% of people, they're problem aware. They know they have a problem, but they're not yet out looking here for the solution. And 60% of people, they are not even problem aware. They don't know they have a problem, but if you market or if you communicate effectively to those people, then they're going to start to realize that they have a problem. So you can see now, if you're producing content that are only really speaking to the 3% of people up here, then you're going to have a very, very difficult time trying to scale, because this is the 3% of people that many people or many competitors of yours, they're going to try and communicate to those same 3 people. And let's say that if you're operating in Denmark, where there's only like an audience size of 5 million people, and out of these 5 million people, let's say that you actually just have an audience of like 250,000 people, and out of these 250,000 people, then there's only 3% who are ready to buy right now, but there are tens of different options that I could choose to purchase from. Then you can see how it becomes very, very difficult for your brand to scale, because you're only really present when you're ready to tap in, like, you know, in football, where the striker is just there to tap in the last goal. You have not done anything in the build-up play, if you wanna use this analogy. And this is why a lot of people, they have a really, really difficult time trying to scale their meta ads, or they cannot sustain their rising CPA levels. They don't know what they can do to prevent plateau on their ad accounts and whatnot. It's because their general scaling strategy is not there, and it's only speaking to the 3% in the market. So what you want to do is you want to look at your funnel, and you want to divide it into like 3 levels. You want to be able to capture attention. You want to be able to convince people that they are, they are in need of what you have to offer them, and then you want to be able to convert them. But how you do this is really coming down to your content mix and what type of messaging that you're sending out. And this is where a lot of people, or businesses in general, they go wrong with this. And this is what is preventing them from scaling. Because up here, they look at UGC and they think, okay, I just have to produce a lot of different UGC angles and then we're going to scale. Yes, you are going to scale up until a certain point, but that is only when, like, you know, the 3% of people, they've really been harvested, because UGC videos nowadays, they're not really top funnel anymore. I would categorize UGC videos as someone who have been through another layer of top funnel before they can really interact well with UGC videos, because UGC videos, people are really skeptical to those already. So I would say that UGC videos, they start to become more and more potent within the mid funnel, and also obviously in the bottom funnel. But in the mid funnel, this is where UGC really resides now. In order for you to truly scale, you have to unlock your top funnel. And what do I mean by that? Well, if your brand doesn't constantly get new people into your funnel, then you're going to have a very, very difficult time trying to scale. Because if people don't go through the top funnel, they will never go to your mid funnel, they will never go to your bottom funnel, and you will have a harder and harder and harder time trying to sell to people. So how do you get people through your top funnel, and how do you unlock that? This is what I would like to say is the new strategy that most brands in D2C e-commerce or in lead generation or whatever, they should start to employ, because this is how you unlock your top funnel, in my opinion, having scaled multiple brands to 6 and 7 figures. So here's how we do it. We actually don't want to do much with UGC videos here. The best way to get started with this strategy is simply just to make static ads. Static ads, you can have like a super fast turnover with this. You can create a lot of static ads and test a lot of angles really fast. So the good thing about this is that it comes with a lot of speed, and you're not pouring a lot of money into UGC angles or videos that you haven't even tested. This is something that, yeah, a lot of, especially ecom brands, they pour a lot of money into UGC videos, but they haven't tested the angles, and they end up burning a lot of money, both in production, paying the creator, paying the UGC agency, and then they also have to test the creative. So they end up having easily spent like 300, 400, 500 euros per video in order to truly understand if this is going to be a winner or not. So you can see how this is very, very detrimental to performance. If you're generating like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 euros per month, this is going to keep you locked for a long, long time if this is your only way of scaling your brand. What we want to do instead is we want to create static ads that either focuses on a specific pain that your audience has or a desire that your audience has. Typically, pain is going to be much, much greater of a motivator than desire, but people, they interact differently. So keep this in mind. So what we want to do is we actually just want to create static ads that calls out the pain or the desire of our target audience. And you can only really know this if you understand your audience and you've done your research. I have created a video on this on the channel, which you can find in the description of this video, where I go through the level of research that we do in order to understand the audience that we're trying to communicate to. That's really, really foundational as well, and I would encourage you to watch it if you haven't done it already, because it really sets the foundation, for how you're going to tailor your ads. But here, let's say that we created a static ad just with text on it, and you could also, then start to test a lot on this with like different background images and whatnot. But you can just have like a black background, white text saying "suffering from knee pain," and run this as an ad. It could also be, are you familiar with acne? In this case, I would never claim that your audience is suffering from something or anything like that. That can break advertising rules. But saying something like, are you familiar with acne? People who are familiar with this and have this, they would click on this. They would want to know more about this. Or do you want to run like a pro? If this could be a desire ad. These free ads here, they call out a specific problem, or they call out a specific desire. They call out a specific audience, and this is where people are going to interact with this. So they will click this, and this is where the funnel becomes really potent, because I just want to show you like an example here. You can see this is a brand called Nebrew, and you can see here they're actually running videos with this. You can do so many different things with this. It doesn't come across as like super branded, very, very aesthetic. It just calls out a problem. This is like hearing loss problem, right? But it just calls out a problem, and it just visualizes it so well. And that is the key point from this, is that you want to make it so easy for your potential customers or the audience that you're trying to communicate to understand what is going on here. Is this a problem that I have, and is it a problem that I resonate with? Then I want to know more. I'm intrigued now, so I want to click through and I want to know more. With these types of ads, what you're going to see is you're actually going to see very, very high CTR rates. So click-through rates. You're not trying to promote an offer. You're not trying to make people product aware. Like if we go back to the awareness stages up here, you're not trying to make people become product aware or even solution aware. You're really speaking to people who are in these one or two awareness stages, non-aware and problem aware, and then trying to funneling them down after that. Here, there's actually two things that you can do at this point. You can either direct the traffic from the ad to an advertorial, or you can direct it to your product page. And this is where 9 out of 10 ecom brands, they just direct it over to their product page. The thing is, as soon as I, as a customer, land on a product page, I'm going to have a very, very high skepticism around what it is that you're trying to sell to me. But if I instead land on an advertorial, I'm not over here understanding yet that I have to buy. I'm still trying to gather information. And you as a brand are making that information accessible to me, and you're making that information available to me. And now what you're able to do as a brand here, which is, by the way, going to scale your brand so much if you implement this strategy, is that you're moving people down the funnel and you're moving people down the awareness stages. So they came in up here understanding, oh, I know people who have a hearing loss, or I have hearing loss. Let me just come in here. So I'm starting to become problem aware. And inside this article right here, which an advertorial is just an article where you're following people down the different awareness stages. Now, let's say that I then click the call to action over here and I land on the product page. I am a much more educated customer. The traffic that you're sending over to your website is much more educated than they could ever be from just having clicked on like a UGC video getting to your landing page. Your overall conversion rate on the website should also be much greater because of this. Step 1, get them to an advertorial page where you are educating the customer much more about the problem they have, the solution that there is, and the product that, you know, solve the problem that they have. And this is when you can then send them over to a landing page or a product page. And let's say that out of 100 people, now instead of you have a conversion rate of 2%, now let's say that you have a conversion rate of 5% from the traffic that comes from the advertorial. Now 5 people are buying, but there's still a lot of people who don't buy. So what do you do then? You simply just create retargeting ads with social proof from your ideal customers or from your existing customers, talking about the product, talking about the new life that they have experienced with the product, because social proof is seriously the greatest advertising format. I don't know what to call it. It is so powerful to see people like you talk about a problem that they have had and the solution to their problem. It is so powerful because we buy from people like ourselves, right? And then you could also create email marketing flows if you have been able to gather people's information here on the product page. It could be like through a quiz or through a test or through a front-end offer of getting like 10% on the purchase, whatever. Or like an abandoned cart email, whatever. You could also create email flows. But this right here, it really neglects this whole UGC funnel that a lot of brands are doing, and it takes a much more like holistic approach to your entire funnel and allows you to scale. And as I showed you, this is how we are effectively scaling brands here at my agency. We have done it with this client here, we've done it with this client here, and we've done it with this client here, like I showed you. And I can tell you that a lot more brands are starting to do this now, because they have found out that UGC is not the way to scale their brand, because people are so skeptical nowadays. People don't just want to watch a UGC video. They need to be more educated, and you need to be able to provide them with that, which this funnel allows you to do. But this is not to say that you should just only run this format. No, because this is another thing when it comes to advertising and scaling brands with Meta and Google and whatnot. You want to have a wider content mix. So you want to have advertorials, you want to have branded content, you want to have blog posts that you can also be running in some parts of your funnel. You want to have static ads, you want to have UGC, you want to have founder videos, you want to have problem solution format, you want to have all of these types of ads, because you want to look at your ad account as an entire system, where when you feed this with an advertorial, what happens to the rest of your ads? What we have seen with most of our clients here is that when we have introduced an advertorial, this is not where most of the purchases are going to come from. Like if you talk about first click attribution or you talk about last click attribution, and this is not where most of the sales are going to come from. But again, if I just go back to like up here, then this is where you get people into your funnel. And that is what most brands, they really struggle with when they're trying to scale. And that's why they cannot afford to scale their ad spend on Meta. They have hit a plateau when they're trying to scale their Meta ads. They have tried countless UGC videos, but nothing seems to work. It's really because they have a big problem getting people into their funnel, and they don't do that through the UGC videos. So if you found this video to be interesting and you want to know more about how we could potentially work together, my agency with your brand, then you can click the link in the description and schedule a free growth evaluation of your business, where I will take a holistic view of your entire marketing approach right now, come with my feedback, and also present you a scaling strategy like this for how I believe we would be able to help your brand scale. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye bye.